Welcome in to Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. Thank you for spending your Thursday with me here on Outkick the Show. I want to remind you, go to OddsShark for all your gambling and informational related needs. And as always, if you need a mortgage, if your mortgage rate is in the fours, go to thehomeloanexpert.com right now, whether you need to get pre-qualified, whether you need to go ahead and get refied because your rate's too high. It's getting close to the holiday season. You're going to spend a lot more money on presents and all the travel and everything else than you had hoped to do. Why not go ahead and lock in some savings, thousands if not hundreds of dollars right now? Go to thehomeloanexpert.com. We've got a loaded show for all of you. I appreciate you spending your Thursday, as I said, with me. We've got a bunch of different conflicts to get to. We got to get to ESPN's president against me. John Skipper ripped me on Tuesday in a private meeting for employees. Outkick had audience members there. We will discuss exactly what was said and my response to ESPN President John Skipper's allegation that I am part of a vast right-wing conspiracy designed to bring down ESPN. This is unbelievable that they have now lost their mind. ESPN is falling apart as a company, and now they're just fighting shadows. Elika, my buddy at Steak and Stiff Arms, known her for years, is in a tiff with Barstool. I'll tell you what I know about that, and also why I think she is being unfairly attacked. I will talk about, what else do I got here? The Panthers and the Eagles tonight. Actually a rarity, a massively important and awesome Thursday night NFL game that I cannot wait to watch. And I will talk to you about an interesting analysis of Brett Bielema's contract. Maybe his buyout is actually $5.9 million instead of $15.4 million. How does that change the calculus about his future at Arkansas as the Razorbacks prepare for their annual beatdown from Nick Saban and Alabama? Let me go ahead and actually start with ESPN here. I'm going to read you what I wrote on my site based on conversations with multiple people who were inside, several I should say instead of multiple, a lot. Several people that I talked to who are Outkick fans inside that ESPN meeting. ESPN President John Skipper, the president of the network, attacked me by name in LA in front of the entirety of the ESPN staff in LA that came to that, over 100 people. He said that I am out to get ESPN, that I'm spreading misinformation, and that I'm devoted to destroying the network. None of that is true. I have a lot of good friends at ESPN. I have a lot of people who are watching this show today that are employed by ESPN and have been my sources or agree with everything that I have reported about ESPN. ESPN has lost its way. They have become a far left-wing sports network, and I think it's harming their brand overall. They've got Michelle Beadle going out there and telling white guys to shut up and listen, which is absurd. They have got Mike Wilbon comparing NFL players to plantation slaves, and Jerry Jones, by definition, becomes then a slave owner. Jerry Jones, who has been one of the most progressive owners in the NFL and has made an awful lot of millionaires out of black people and white people with his stewardship of the NFL, of the Cowboys, and also with his stewardship of the NFL. So that, my friends, is another aspect of this. And I would say they've also done the unbelievable, which is they've allowed Jemele Hill to call Donald Trump a white supremacist, and everybody who supports him also a white supremacist. There is nothing conservative that responds in any way to that. When Michelle Beadle said, "Shut up and listen, white men," when she was talking about the story involving Cam Newton and a female reporter, white guys were not involved there at all. If she says, "Shut up and listen" to any other race, she gets fired. At ESPN, she gets promoted. She feels comfortable defending herself. She actually feels comfortable saying that nobody has any idea what she's overcome. Michelle Beadle got a .7 GPA at Texas A&M Corpus Christi. She is the daughter of an oil executive multimillionaire from Bernie, Texas. She has never struggled in her life. And she got her job with the San Antonio Spurs because of her dad, who sits on the front row at Spurs games, connections with the San Antonio Spurs. She has gone off the deep end. ESPN has gone off the deep end. Michael Wilbon, a guy whose column I love to read forever, has gone off the deep end. Jemele Hill has gone off the deep end. I have no idea what's going on, but maybe it's just that social media is driving a lot of people insane, and I'm the last sane person left in America. I don't understand. In that meeting, John Skipper, the president of ESPN, also attacked Fox News, taking shots at Tucker Carlson in particular, and said that Fox News is losing more subscribers, or at least the same amount of subscribers, as ESPN. This is, in fact, a lie. ESPN has lost 13 million subscribers since 2011. That is more subscribers than any other channel in America has lost. John Skipper is even lying now to his own employees, while, by the way, accusing me of lying. I would ask all of you out there, I am open to the suggestion. What have I lied about with ESPN? Did I lie about Robert Lee being moved off of the game, breaking that news about William and Mary versus Virginia? Did I lie about ESPN cutting hundreds of people? Have I lied for the past several years when I said that ESPN has paid way too much for the products that they have on their air now, and that the company is in a severe disadvantage because they're losing subscribers while at the same time their business model is collapsing? I have explained all of this. I have given you the math. I have told you all the truth. You can judge it for yourself. When someone else is accusing you and they have a incentive to call you a liar, you have to question whether or not there's any truth there. Furthermore, John Skipper also said that Rupert Murdoch, a man who I've never met, spoken to, I have seen him once. Rupert Murdoch talked to the Fox employees before the sports season, maybe 3 years ago. I got to see Rupert Murdoch speak in person, but there was like 200 or 300 people in that room. I have never spoken with Rupert Murdoch in my entire life. I have absolutely no relationship with him. Moreover, I have no relationship with Fox or 21st Century Fox right now. I make $0 from them. If you talk to all the Fox execs who have ever been my bosses, they would say, we have never encouraged Clay Travis to write what he writes. Moreover, we have asked him on a regular basis, dial it back. I've gotten sit-down meetings with Fox executives over the years before I took Outkick back independent, and they have said, you can't say this on the website. And then I've gone and still kept doing it, so I understand the difficulty of managing them. I had a sit-down meeting where everybody was upset because I called Lena Dunham a bitch. And they were like, you can't call Lena Dunham a bitch. And I said, but Lena Dunham is a bitch. I'm going to call her a bitch. And they said, well, this is why you're not getting a television show, because you're calling Lena Dunham a bitch. And I said, so what? I'm telling you the truth. That is 100% the truth. She's a bitch. So I have said lots of things that Fox execs would prefer over the years that I did not say. And that's because I say exactly what I believe every single day. So this is crazy. He also said that he believed there was a conspiracy involving Rupert Murdoch, Donald Trump, me, Jason Whitlock, Tucker Carlson, Fox News to intentionally try to drive down ESPN for competitive purposes. It's one of the most ludicrous things I have ever heard. And the truth of the matter is there's absolutely no truth to it. I'm a buddy of Whitlock's. Whitlock and I talk. I have not ever talked to anybody else at Fox News. I don't know Tucker Carlson's contact. He is basically turned into Hillary Clinton, sitting around dreaming about there being a vast right-wing conspiracy. That's the truth. There's absolutely no basis to it. So I just want you to hear it from me. You need to go read that article at Outkick. When I saw this, I couldn't believe it. When ESPN employees reached out, I had to talk to a bunch of them to verify that everything was said is true. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that he has lost his mind to that extent, that I am in his head, and that he has gone crazy. It just made no sense to me. ESPN is doing all the damage to ESPN without me. All I have done is report on what is actually happening there. And remember, my sources are all inside ESPN because so many people at ESPN agree with me that they have gone left wing, that they are alienating their audience, and that they have made disastrous decisions. They don't think Michelle Beadle should go on Sports Nation and say, shut up and listen, white men, when she's talking about Cam Newton and a reporter. They don't think that Mike Wilbon should go on PTI and say that NFL players are effectively the equivalent of slaves on a plantation, and that Jerry Jones is a slave master. They do not believe that that Jemele Hill should be able to go on Twitter and say that Donald Trump is a white supremacist, that everybody he surrounded himself with are white supremacists, and that all of his supporters are racist white supremacists as well. None of that is true. And by the way, if you think I'm only attacking ESPN people, I murdered Shannon Sharp yesterday in the streets in cold blood. I pointed out that 10 women or 10 different complaints have been filed against him for domestic assault, stalking, beating up women, rape, over the past several years. And yet that guy sits on his stage and tries to get out there and argue that the Las Vegas Police Department are frauds or liars or that Colin Kaepernick is a hero. That guy is a total fraud, and I roasted him yesterday. And for anybody out there who says, oh, Clay Travis is playing favorites, I come after hypocrites. I don't play games. I go after hypocrites. It's what I do. I think if you're full of shit, I'm going to call you on it. Shannon Sharp is full of shit. He happens to work at FS1. If there's NBC or CBS people I believe are full of shit, then I'll go after them too. That's the truth. I don't play favorites. The benefit of being independent is I can say whatever the fuck I want. I run this show. I run Outkick. Nobody can take it away from me. Nobody can take my job away. I, every day, sit down to you and talk directly with exactly what I believe. That's why if I decide to run for the Senate in Tennessee, I'll get elected. I'll kick Marsha Blackburn's ass. I will. I'll get elected to the Senate because there's such a demand for truth and authenticity in this country that it's driving ESPN crazy that what I'm reporting is 100% true, that I'm doing nothing but giving everybody out there the truth, that I'm the most authentic person in media. That, my friends, is the truth. All right. A lot of people, and I agree with you. Somebody just said, I just want football back. I agree with you. That's why I floated the Travis Compromise this morning. You can go listen to the podcast. By the way, good news. We're now going to be on satellite radio for 3 hours every day. All 3 hours are back on satellite radio, Sirius XM channel 218, XM channel 202. Those are new stations that are coming back. I believe they're going to be added 218 on the Sirius XM dial and 202 on the XM dial. I think those are stations where they put games on. I'm not 100% sure about this. I think those are stations where they put games on, and there's been so much demand for the show to come back that they're going to allow those shows to exist Monday through Friday, even when the games are not on. I think that's correct. 218 on Sirius, 202 on XM. Starting on Monday, you'll be able to hear it. So if you are a satellite subscriber, you'll be able to get hooked up again. That's going to be a lot of fun. You'll be able to hear the entire show all over again. Okay, I said that I was going to address this. Look, Elika came to me at Steak and Stiff Arms. I'm going to tell you exactly the truth. She's a friend of mine. She's been a friend of mine for years. If you think that I'm friends with people who are pearl clutchers or who are easily offended, then you have no idea what I'm about. I'm not going to be friends with somebody who's constantly getting offended, anything like that, okay? So Elika came to me several months ago. She came to me several months ago. This is the whole truth. She came to me several months ago and said Barstool had made her an offer to be the host on their new college football show with Portnoy and whoever that other guy is. And what did I think about it? And I was straight up. I said, look, I like a lot of the guys at Barstool. I think it'll be a good audience for you. But I gave her the exact same advice. I gave her the exact same advice that I give anybody who asks me about jobs. I said, they offered you a 2-year contract. I said, for that 2-year contract, think about not this job, but where you're going to be next. Where do you need to go next? I give this advice to everybody who's watching this or listening to this right now. Don't think about the job that you have right now. Think about the job that you want to have, the next job. And I always say this, does taking this job, when you talk about changing jobs, I said, does taking this job help you get to where you want to go? And she was seriously considering it. She had found an apartment in New York. I think she had basically decided to take the job. I'm telling you, she had basically decided to do it. And so we had that conversation. I said, good luck. I like a lot of those guys. And I do. I don't have anything against them. It's really strange to me that Portnoy is obsessed with me. I don't know where that came from. It's a strange obsession of his. To me, it's like WWE. He can say whatever he wants about me. I enjoy it. Kind of bounces off of me. It has no impact. I think he's legitimately triggered by me. I don't know why. You have to ask him. But I like Big Cat. I like PFT. I got no issues with anybody at Barstool that I know of. I like all those guys when I've met them. But then she came to me and she said, have you ever seen a provision like this in my contract? This is months ago. I don't know, probably August or July. I don't remember the exact dates, but months ago, before college football season started. She said, they've got this provision in this contract that I'm not comfortable with. Have you ever seen a provision like this in any contract that you've signed with a media company? And I've signed contracts with NBC, CBS, Fox, and Time Warner, and Gawker. So I've signed 5 different sites, all right? Deadspin's pretty crazy, right? Deadspin's pretty crazy. I've signed contracts with 5 different major media companies, and none of them have ever had that provision. And I said, I've never seen that. She said, I don't feel comfortable signing it. And I said, I understand that. I would go back to them and I would tell them you don't feel comfortable with signing it. I'm sure they'll just take it out of the contract. It's a form contract that they had drafted. If they really want you, they'll just knock it out. And that's all the advice I gave. And she went back to him and said, hey, I'd like to sign this contract, but can you just take this paragraph out? She had representation look at it. The agent that represents her is a major agent that works at a major Hollywood agency, said he had not seen it before. Like, language this extensive is not common. Okay? So the agent gave her the advice. I'm just telling you the whole story as I know it. The agent gave her the advice. He hadn't seen it. She went to Barstool and said, can you take this out? I don't feel comfortable signing it. I trust you guys, but I don't feel comfortable with this. Can you take it out? And they said no. And she told me that they refused to ever take it out. Now, Portnoy since says that at the last minute they said, okay, we will take it out. I don't know the truth of that. I know that she always said that they refused to take it out, and she turned down the job because of it. And then yesterday, and that was months ago. So I knew the behind-the-scenes stuff. She decided to turn it down, felt good about the decision to turn it down. And then yesterday, I guess she tweeted about it, and the Barstool people have been in uproar ever since. Dave went after her. I think Dave ripped me, like in typical Portnoy fashion. Again, I don't really know why. I like Elika. She's a friend, and she decided that she didn't want to sign a contract. And then she said, hey, I don't think this is appropriate to the language to be in a contract. And she put it on Twitter. She didn't name Barstool. And then Barstool went nuclear with it. So that's the story as I know it. Elika can come out and tell her side of the story. I like her. She's a friend. I know her well. And she's not like a shrinking violet. She's funny. She doesn't get offended by jokes. All of the criticisms that are raining down on her are not fair, in my opinion. And she was not doing it for publicity. It's a crazy idea. She already had another job that she had gotten since then. That job had already been announced. I saw where Dave's like, oh, they're doing it for publicity. That job was announced a couple of weeks ago. So anyway, Elika's been on this show before, Elika Sadeghi. You can go follow her at Steak and Stiff Arm. She's smart, even though she's an Ohio State fan. That's the worst thing that I can say about her. I've known her for years. She lives in Los Angeles, and I think she would have been a good hire for Barstool. I think I even told Barstool, yeah, that'd be a good hire for you guys. I like the people that Barstool's interviewed. I like Julie Stewart-Binks, who they just hired. She's a friend of mine. Basically, everybody that Barstool has interviewed, I know pretty well. Casey Smith just came down and did stuff. Like, I know all the girls that Barstool is interviewing for media jobs, and I know them pretty well, and I think they're fine people. Several of them I have on the radio show regularly. So I think this thing is totally blown out of proportion. I don't think that Elika did anything wrong. I think that Barstool went nuclear when they didn't need to go nuclear. I don't know that they need that provision. I have never had a provision like that in any contract that I've had. I've had 6 or 7 people who have worked for me. I've never had a provision. I've never done an NDA. Maybe at some point somebody's going to sue me and say Clay Travis is the worst human being ever. But if I get sued, I'll just fight it. I'm not afraid of lawsuits. So, because I've never done anything wrong. So that's the truth. I like Elika. I like the guys at Barstool. I think this is a strange feud. And I think if I were them, I would just take that provision out of my contract. I don't know what they're trying to protect. It's not even a legal holding. Like, you can't do what they're trying to do with that provision from a legal perspective, so I don't think it makes sense. You don't do comedy. Why are you so riled up? Like, I don't understand why people are so riled up and feel the need to defend Barstool. Like, the provision, if you want to sign somebody and they come to you and say, hey, I like everything about the contract and everything about your job offer, except for all of this provision. You can go read Elika's Twitter feed if you want. Then that's on you if you don't want to change it. And she made the principal decision not to sign the contract. I don't understand how you can criticize her for it. She decided not to join the company. And then she said, hey, I think provisions like these in contracts don't make sense as part of going on Twitter and giving her opinion. Like, I just don't understand why that's controversial. I'll answer any questions about this because evidently it's a huge controversy, and I feel like I know both sides pretty well, and I don't see why it's a huge controversy. They're protecting themselves from people suing them for content they're offended by. That's not a valid perspective. I mean, I'm a lawyer, right? So I can put my lawyer hat on. I've signed company contracts at CBS, at NBC, at Fox, at Time Warner, and at Gawker. All right? I've done it 5 different major media companies. And that provision isn't in the contracts. So, and I'm a lawyer. And I've never seen that provision in any employment contract that anybody I've ever repped has been involved in. So I think it's a really aggressive language. I think it's indefensible from a perspective legally, not morally. You can write anything you want in a contract, in my opinion. So she had an issue with it, and she didn't sign the contract. So I don't know why Barstool people are mad at her. It doesn't make any sense. It's trending. You can see it on Twitter. The provision's up there. It's not dirty. I don't see anything dirty at all about it. I think Barstool overreacted because they know that language isn't that smart. And Portnoy initially said when Elika went to him and said, I didn't even read the contract that we had out there. I think he may have even publicly said that. How can you run a company and not read your own employment contracts? Right? I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but I actually read the contracts that I sign. And so I think that's crazy. If you run a company and you're supposedly like this huge media mogul, how do you not read your employment contracts? It doesn't make any sense at all. Like, I read every contract that we have going out there. And so saying, oh, that lawyer drafted it, I didn't even read it. The lawyer works for you. The lawyer will put whatever in the contract you want to put in the contract. I know. I've been on both sides. I've been the person who's having a lawyer draft a contract, and I have been the person drafting the contract. People are riled up about how many employees they have. Look, here's the deal about Barstool. Barstool has, this is the truth, when Big Cat and PFT leave Barstool, Dave will not have a company. Dave doesn't have a company, and this is why he's so sensitive. He doesn't have a company. He has 2 employees that are really valuable. When those employees leave, he's then got 73 guys who Portnoy is making money off of only because Big Cat and PFT are there. When those guys leave and go independent and make a lot more money, he has a lot of people who are not very valuable. The reason why I've never gone out and hired tons of employees is because I can make millions of dollars without needing to hire employees. You don't have a company when you've got 2 people that are extremely valuable. You've got a couple of people under contract. And when those people walk, then Barstool has nothing. Like, who else is being consumed at Barstool? What great writers do they have? What great content do they have outside of Big Cat and PFT? They've got like 75 people in extreme cost, and they're trying to sell that company to somebody else because the venture capital people want to make their money back. And I've told Big Cat this. It's not me speaking out of tune. They should go somewhere else and make the money. Period. Why did she go public? She didn't go public for months. She didn't go public for months. So if she had wanted to go public, she could have done it anonymously. Like, I don't understand that criticism. Why'd she go public? She put her name on that contract and said, I personally chose not to sign a contract that had these provisions. And she could have leaked that anonymously to Deadspin. She could have leaked it anonymously to the Big Lead. She could have leaked it anonymously to the New York Times, and they would have written a story, and she would have never been attached to it. She said, I chose in my own career not to sign a contract that had these provisions in it, but lots of other people evidently have signed them. So that's the truth. So anyway, that's my position on it. I think it's a crazy conflict. I don't understand it. I don't understand why Dave went nuclear on this. I think he totally overreacted, not surprisingly. I don't have any issue with anybody at Barstool. I've been straightforward about that for a long time. I think, frankly, Dave's got some demons, and good luck to him getting them resolved. Because I don't think he's making very solid decisions for a company that he claims he cares about so much. But that's his right. That's his obligation. He's got to answer to the people who own his company now. Chernin Group, he doesn't own it. But benefit of me owning 100% of Outkick is the only person I have to answer to every morning when I wake up is me. And my checks ain't bouncing, and life is going pretty well here. So I care about me, and I care about my success, and there's never been a point in time where Outkick or Clay Travis has been at a higher level than we are right now. And that's the truth. I got to answer to my wife. I mean, I don't make any decisions in my real life. I got to answer to my wife and my kids. I mean, yesterday I was going to watch sports instead. I mean, I'm going out to buy football cards tonight. So that's the truth. I got to answer to my wife, and I don't make any decisions there. Let's be honest. I'm talking about actual ownership in terms of people being able to say, you can write this, you can't write this, you can say this, you can't say that. Every husband out there has to answer to his wife, and his wife, my wife rules the Outkick mansion. Got 8,000 square feet here. I don't even have control over 1 foot of it. My wife rules all of this. And then my kids are number 2, 3, and 4. I'm the 5th most important person in this household. There's no doubt. But I'm a badass when it comes to my actual company. I control my company, and I can say whatever I want. But I don't control my household. I don't control my marriage. I don't control my kids. My wife controls everything else that matters. All right, so those are my thoughts. Elika's a great person. You should go follow her on Twitter. I think this thing is way overblown. She made a decision not to join Barstool. It was a good decision for her personally, and I don't think she did anything wrong. So I think this thing is way overblown. Let's talk about a couple of other things. Panthers-Eagles. I'm actually excited. I'm actually excited for a Thursday night football game. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Hold on. This is a funny thing. I'm going to answer this thing first because I just saw this guy come here. Perez makes more than me. First of all, do you know how much of a pussy you have to be to come on to somewhere like social media and brag about somebody else making more money than somebody else? Like, you're not even bragging about you making money, okay? You are bragging. The ultimate pussy move is to brag about somebody else that you don't know making more money than somebody else that you don't know. I don't know how to prove more accurately that you have a mosquito dick, right, than to go on to social media and brag about somebody you don't know making more money than somebody else you don't know. Think about what a little mosquito dick you have to have. I mean, I'm talking about doesn't even extend long enough as a mosquito bite dick, like literally a micro penis. Think about what a tiny little dick you have to be in the business of going on social media and bragging about one man you don't know having more money than another man you don't know. I mean, how much of a total pussy are you to pull that off? You are a dickless Theon-like bitch if you even think to do that. That's like going on somewhere at college and being like, hey, that guy at that table, he fucks so much. You should see how much he fucks. He fucks more than you. Can you imagine making that argument? What a little cunt you would be. You're sitting at the table in the cafeteria and you don't know two of these people, right? And some other guy's over there and you walk up to another guy in a cafeteria and you're like, hey, you're a loser. That guy fucks a lot more people than you do, loser. Like, you have just established that you have a mosquito dick. Now, look, I make millions of dollars a year. I have an incredible life. I don't know what everybody else makes, all right? I know that I make a shit ton of money. I make millions of dollars a year now. That's true. Beyond dispute. If other people make tens of millions of dollars a year, good for them. Do you know the only thing that I want now that I don't have? I'd like to be able to have a private jet. I'd like to have private jet money. I don't have that right now. But I probably make a lot more money than anybody else who's listening to this. And if you make more money than me, congratulations on your success. But when I've got a decent dick and when I'm twirling around like a helicopter, I don't spend a lot of other time looking at other dudes worried about what they've got. That's how you end up being a failure. See, I'm not a zero-sum guy. I don't worry about what other people do in terms of how it leads to my success, because the only thing I control is me. And so when you're out there on social media with your mosquito dick trying to fuck up against the wall because nobody else will fuck you, jerking off, banging into the couch cushions, finger banging yourself because you don't even have a dick big enough to jerk off on, that's just a sign of how much of a loser you are, not anything else. All right? So just file that away and think about what a pathetic pussy you are when you make that argument. Like, social media is full of these people. Think about what a bitch you are. You're basically a hype man that the hype guy doesn't even know exists. Think about that. You are pursuing a conflict involving two people that you don't know and trying to insult somebody else when all that proves is that you've got a mosquito dick. So, good luck. Congratulations on your mosquito dick. Congratulations on finger banging yourself instead of even being able to jerk off. I hope you feel better when you rub your penis-sized clitoris. And that's not a good thing for a man to have. All right, a couple of other things. Bielema, Panthers-Eagles. I'm actually really excited. I'm actually really excited for Panthers-Eagles tonight because I think whoever wins this game will be the second best team in the NFL going into Week 6. Right now, we know that the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL, and we know that Alex Smith is the MVP of the league. But the Chiefs have a really tough 4-game stretch coming up. And so, as a result, when you actually break this game down, if Cam Newton can win against the Patriots and the Lions back-to-back on the road, and then follow it up with a win over the Eagles, that's a hell of a string, and it's pretty solid evidence that we're going to get 2015 Cam Newton as opposed to 2016 Cam Newton. That Cam has got his swagger back. Stella got her groove back. Well, Cam's got his groove back too. Maybe he went down to a beach in Jamaica and banged a bunch of people like Stella. Who knows what might have happened. But Cam's got his groove back, boys and girls. And so as a result of that, I am curious to see what's going to happen tonight. I can't wait. I'm going to watch, and hopefully we'll start to get an anthem protest solved. And by the way, I floated the Travis compromise. I think this is a good solution for players and for owners. What about if you go out onto the field, you have to stand, you're not allowed to kneel without facing suspension. But if you don't want to be out there for the national anthem, you're entitled to stay in the locker room. I think that's a good solution. I think that gives everybody feel like they have a verdict, a win. And to me, that is the best possible solution to this situation. Finally, I wanted to talk about Bielema's buyout. I tweeted this out. Really fascinating legal analysis here. It seems like a really poorly drafted contract because the terms of Bielema's contract in terms of the dollar figures for the buyout, which would suggest $15.4 million, seem to be in conflict with the way that that phrase is designed, right? So if you read that paragraph and then you go back and you look at it and you analyze it, to me it seems like it's a broken contract because you don't want to have two different paragraphs side by side that give you conflicting answers. One hand, it could be a $5.9 million buyout. The other hand, it could be a $15.4 million buyout. That's a $10 million drafting error. I don't know why you would draft a contract like that and have a contradictory positions. A lot of times this happens, and I don't know when there's this many lawyers involved, whether it's intentional, whether one side thinks they're stealing a march on the other side, but you shouldn't ever end up with language where on the one hand, Bielema is owed $15.4 million, and on the other hand, he could be owed $5.9 million. That's a $10 million gap. That's a poor drafting move. I don't know how it happened, but it's something to keep an eye on because if Bielema is only owed $5.9 million and there's offset language there, then almost no buyout. You're right. That's the point. The way that second paragraph is drafted, it's as if Brett Bielema has no buyout whatsoever because there's offset language based on what he would get paid at his next job. That can't have been the intent of Brett Bielema's agent. That is a major error. It might have been the intent of Arkansas. I don't know what happened there. I appreciate all of you coming to hang. My name is Clay Travis. Who knows? We don't know. There's a contractual conflict, it appears to me, when you read both those terms, but it's something definitely worth hanging out with. Thank you for hanging out with me. We'll be live tomorrow, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern. Big news. Satellite radio picking up Outkick. They got so much demand for it. We'll be on Monday, channel 218, channel 202 on XM. I appreciate all of you coming to hang out. DBAP. And hey, ESPN, I'm in your brain. You know why I'm in the brain? Because you fuck up all the time and I don't. I'm Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. Go to OddsShark. Go to the Home Loan Expert. Get hooked up every single day. Thank you for hanging with me. I am Clay Travis, and this has been Outkick the Show.